Hello and welcome to Gas It Out. Now, this week I am pleased to be joined by former World Superbike champion Neil Hodgson. Good morning, Neil.
Morning, Gavin. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm former World Superbike champion and World Endurance champion and special guest this week, Sylvain Guintoli. How are you, Sylvain?
Hello, guys. How
what's
good is
going
that
on?
to be together?
What's happening?
It's been a long time no see.
Absolutely.
Gavin,
yeah,
you appear to be... Is that your hotel
in your
room
pyjamas
that me and you shared the other 2 days ago?
Yeah, still your coffee cup still on the side. You did not wash it up. Yeah.
What are you doing there?
Before we start, apologise if this doesn't sound like we're on BBC Radio 4 this week. I travelled hand luggage only, so I've got not my normal light and camera, that kind of thing. I've also got no passport as well. Yeah, that went missing slightly. So I'm still in Italy. I'm waiting on DHL to deliver my second passport. I'm waiting on the consulate, the police, divine intervention. But of course, it's a public holiday here in Italy. So it's not going to probably arrive until tomorrow, unfortunately. So first of all, apologies to my other half, Kate, because she's having to pick up the pieces for me and everything that I should be looking after my child back home and dog and that. And yeah, all is rosy. I will say, as you know, lads, I'm staying in the hotel that we stay in. Now, it's a lovely hotel, isn't it? Albeit on an industrial estate, but it is quite, I can see the Mugello hills behind me. It was chucking it down yesterday, and the pool's been emptied of water. So, there's highs and lows to these things. It could be a lot worse.
You've got good food there. There's good food in Italy. So
Exactly, yeah. And McDonald's and KFC around the corner. So I can have all the good stuff.
What was interesting yesterday, Gav, you asked me and Sylvain, you said, look, whilst you're at Pisa Airport, I know I've already spoken to them, but please, can you just go to Lost and Found to see if there's any chance? So me and Sylvain yesterday morning
really
went
helpful, weren't they?
Oh my God. Sylvain, it was like a joke. You go and press this buzzer, this intercom.
She come and see you because she wouldn't look at me. She wouldn't come through and look at me.
She eventually came through.
She came down in the end, but she was not happy. She was not happy.
You did not want to see it. It was like you'd knocked on some stranger's door and said, look, I know you don't know me, but my mate's lost his passport. You couldn't just have a look in your house for it, could you?
You couldn't just let me wee on your carpet.
Can they use your toilets as well?
Exactly.
Thanks.
Sylvain, how unhelpful were they?
Yeah, but that's what they're here for. Like when you got situations like this, you lose your luggage or you lose your stuff. That's what. Anyway, it was funny. It's just not funny for you, Gav. We generally that is your worst nightmare, isn't it? You're just stuck somewhere, no passport.
26 years.
Yeah, what a nightmare.
Never done that before, and I left it on a plane. I left it on the plane from Amsterdam to Pisa. So I'd already done passport control in Holland, and yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. These things happen. We've all had much worse situations, so you just got to roll with it. And as I say, it could be worse. I can see the Mugello hills, and I'm here in Italy. And do you know what? Mugello, for me, felt like Mugello again this weekend. There was something special about it. It might have been Ducati's centenary birthday weekend. Aprilia spoilt the party, didn't they, lads? Because the crowds, the flares, the atmosphere, Marco Bezzecchi standing on pit wall after the race. I don't know, it felt like golden era again. Do you agree with me, Neil?
Oh, it was, the first time I went there with BT Sport, the Rossi era, the atmosphere, obviously the crowds. I think the special part of Mugello is the track invasion is really special when you stood there in pit lane and you stood where they waved the flag on the finish line, looking down on all the fans. It's a special moment. It's a pinch yourself sort of moment. And I agree with you, Gav. Strangely quiet on Friday. That had me a little bit nervous. I'm like, well, it's pretty quiet. It picked up a little bit on Saturday and Sunday. It was rammed, wasn't it? It was the usual, you can't leave we were forced to have to go across the road and have a few beers and wait for the traffic. Wait for the traffic to disperse. But all in all, superb round, incredible atmosphere. And you're right, Aprilia stole the show yet again.
Does that make it, Silva, because of all those stories? There are wins that pack the history books. They're just stats. This was a win for Marco Bezzecchi in Aprilia that he'll frame and put on the wall, won't he? This is a statement. Is it Aprilia's best weekend yet in MotoGP, do you think?
I think it's Aprilia's best weekend of their whole history of racing. I mean, they locked out the front row. They beat the top speed record, and that's never going to get beaten. Well, not in the next 5 years, 6 years,
unless
because
there's a
obviously
massive
we're going
tailwind in Qatar, for example. Unless that happens, it's
yeah,
not,
but with the 850s, we're going to get the 850s are going to be down on power, so it is going to affect top speed. So they've done that. They've new lap record, outright lap record for Bezzecchi with his pole position. They looked at the front row. I mean, it was a total destruction job. Basically, they ticked every single box. So yeah, it's got to be the best weekend ever for Aprilia, and we were kind of expecting it, but we also, I think we all, well, personally anyway, I thought, this is really Ducati's back garden. They've been dominating the last few years, and there was so much solid evidence that Ducati were gonna, sort of bring something there, something special, and it didn't happen. Aprilia still dominated. They won with two different riders: Raul Fernandez in the sprint, Bezzecchi in the GP. Martin was there as well. Ai Ogura nearly bumped Pecco Bagnaia off the podium in the last turn. So they just destroyed them. They really, really were even better than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, it could have been an all Aprilia top four, couldn't it? Really, if Raul Fernandez hadn't messed up the start in the race, if Ai Ogura got a slightly better start, who knows? It could well have been. But Neil, just for Marco Bezzecchi, this will mean the world, won't it? He battled hard early on, took the lead from his mate, and we think, okay, maybe Marco Bezzecchi is going to run off and do it. He then had to fight back. Pecco Bagnaia coming through and coming back to lead him, but then he's passed, didn't he? Eased away from Bagnaia. And in the end, he's able to celebrate up on pit wall with the fans, enjoy what must be for him. There was a shot of him, wasn't there, up on the top step of the podium, looking in complete and utter disbelief about what he was seeing underneath the podium. It was, it was wild. It was a wild atmosphere. It was incredible. Neil, for Marco Bezzecchi, this will rank, perhaps even for the rest of his life, as a day he will never, ever forget. Perhaps the greatest day he'll ever have.
No, absolutely. It sounds like we're over-egging that or trying to make it sound bigger than it is, but this is huge. For any rider. I said this on TNT Sports, but your dream is always to be, in reality, it's MotoGP world champion. And especially if you're Italian, growing up and seeing the success of Valentino Rossi, that's number one. That is the ultimate. If there's an adrenaline rush, if there's an endorphin release hit, that's how you achieve it by winning winning the MotoGP championship. That said, a close second to it is if you can win your home race, if you can win at Mugello, and you think of Bezzecchi as a kid growing up, he'll watch Valentino, and we've seen those scenes before, and everybody wants to be that guy, don't they? I remember personally, I used to watch Fogarty with all his success in superbikes, and I thought, imagine what it must be like at Brands Hatch to stand on that podium or at Donington Park and be on the top step, squirting champagne, seeing the fans. That must be amazing. So that's essentially, that's what he's done. He set his goal, he's achieved it. And you know what? It really looked like he enjoyed the moment. He drunk it in. You could tell he was absorbing it. He really was. And he's a funny character, Bez. I think it's split really in the paddock because he's his own person and he's not that good with the press. He doesn't suffer fools. I quite like him. He's definitely quirky, like I say, but what a day for him. And to bounce back, having had two relatively average weekends. When I say average, Le Mans wasn't terrible, but he got caught and passed by his teammates. That was a statement. Obviously, Martin second in the championship, and then Barcelona, he just went missing for whatever reason. So this was a statement, and this is the beginning of 4 races in 5 weekends. This is again, I said this on TNT. You feel like we're in the meat of the season. The next 2 months really determine what happens in the championship at the end.
Yeah, and I just wonder, Sylvain, actually, myself and Neil discussed it. It was in the break after the race happened. And I wonder, are we underplaying Marco Bezzecchi's title credentials because of Martin's past? Because he is already a MotoGP world champion. And we both said we probably still would have Jorge Martin as favourite in the long format. What do you think, Sylvain? What would you say? Are we underplaying Bez's title credentials?
Well, I'd say, it's fluctuating. After that performance, probably maybe we've underplayed it a bit. I mean, if you look at the start of the season, 3 first Grand Prix, 3 victories from Bezzecchi, even though he was weak or making mistakes in the Superpole races, in the sprint races, sorry. He was the man, at the start of the season, and then he sort of went off the boil, and that's when Martin came back up. So in Jerez he was off. In Le Mans, even though he was leading, Martin got back to him from the 3rd row back on the grid, and he got him twice in the sprint and in the Grand Prix. And then in Catalonia, he also, like I said, he didn't have quite a good front end feeling. So you'd feel like, this is a pattern that is not great for Bezzecchi. 3 races in a row, not 3 weekends in a row, not feeling great. But then he comes back and do a performance like this. I mean, this was really, really strong. He let Pecco Bagnaia lead. He went on the attack when it really mattered. He made the clean pass as well. Everything was just perfect. Like he's rehearsed that many times. It was absolutely like a controlled race and controlled performance, and he also outpaced Martin in that race. So I think it's going to be close. I think for sure we've got 2 very different characters, very different riders with different strengths. You've got Martin that probably is going to be stronger in the sprint races, but then Bezzecchi that can deliver performances like this. That's 4 wins now for him this year. So, we've got different characters, different strengths, and obviously these 2 guys are on the best bike on the grid. I mean, I don't think there's any argument about this now. And Martin's got experience, more experience than Bezzecchi. Bezzecchi's never really been in a championship fight, in a title fight, not even in the smaller categories. So Martin has got, he's got an edge for that. Does that really matter? Well, I don't know. I think if Bezzecchi's got the speed, he might take it to Martin for the whole season. It looks like that anyway, because it's up and down, and it's sort of like one time you, one time me. And Bezzecchi looks really solid. He's happy. You can tell he's really getting on well with that bike. He's happy in the team. He's not panicking as well now. So yeah, it's on. The battle is on.
Yeah, I feel like he can keep a lid on his emotions, perhaps where Jorge Martin can't. Let's not forget Martin beat Bezzecchi to a Moto3 World Championship. Martin's already a MotoGP World Champion. Last year we were expecting a factory battle between 2 teammates in Ducati. It never materialised. We haven't had actually that battle, perhaps since the Yamaha days, since your Rossi and Lorenzo. Is that fair to say? I'm not quite sure whether there really have been anywhere where the 2 teammates have been going at it. But Neil, I'm not counting out Digi yet, or even as far back as perhaps as Marc Marquez. But if we have got this head-to-head between Bez and Martin in the factory Aprilia colours, what are the strengths and weaknesses of either, and who do you see, winning out in that battle?
Like Sylvain said, it's tough to call. Is it 15 rounds to go? Is that right?
Yeah, 15. 7 down, 15 to go.
15 to go, yeah. Sylvain. I mean, so obviously it is wide open still, completely wide open. And as we know, injuries can come in, and when you think about injuries, you think first person you think about genuinely in the whole paddock is Jorge Martin. So can he survive a 15 more rounds without breaking something? Let's hope so. Let's rule that out anyway. Let's not talk about injuries, but out and out sheer speed, Martin's still your man. I think that explosive power, Martin's your man. And at this point, if you really think about it, he has to be favourite, because I still feel he's adapting to the bike. He's still making the bike his. Of course, he's looked incredible on it already, and the bike's clearly incredible. You watch Raul Fernandez win the sprint, you watch Ai Ogura come through yet again with incredible pace at the end of the races. The bike looks like it does everything you want it to do. So I genuinely feel, I can't remember, what's the gap between them? It's not a lot, is it? What we're talking? It's less than 20 points, isn't it?
No.
Yeah. It is. In fact, I can tell you now, we can have a look at the championship standings. So Marco Bezzecchi's there on 173, Jorge Martin on 154. So that's 19 points the difference between them. Fabio Di Giannantonio is on 134, so another 20 back, 39 between himself and Bezzecchi. Pedro Acosta fourth. Ai Ogura is in fifth on 92. Raul Fernandez 5 behind him. Pecco Bagnaia 5 behind him. And actually, Marc Marquez does move up ahead of his brother into 8th place in the championship. So that's how things stand. 4 Aprilias in the top 6, but it's that 1 and 2. I suppose the only real challenger we can see at the moment from the Ducati side of things is Fabio Di Giannantonio. But that's how the land lies after round 7 of 22. So it's looking like a head-to-head.
It's looking like a head-to-head because, like we've discussed before, we're at the end of the development. Nothing major's coming now for anyone. This is where we're at.
Well, they can't test anymore, can they? And all the other tests that they have are 850s.
850s,
there's
exactly.
This thing, the Pirelli are basically hiring the tracks, aren't they, from now on, pretty much?
And yet again, this weekend on TNT Sports, we used the analysis, the ghosting system, where we can overlay the fastest laps, the fastest sectors. And every time you overlay an Aprilia against a Ducati, that bike, it's like you gain, I'm going to say, two yards of tighter turning. You can do a slightly tighter circumference. And then that opens out the next section. It's such an advantage to have. So all that said, it is between them two. But still, genuinely, if I'm putting some money on it at this point, and I know it's sort of guesswork because it's going to be close, but I'm sort of Team Martin.
Silva?
No, I'm gonna be Team Bezzecchi then. I'm gonna go for Bez because I do get the feel that he's more controlled like this year, and also I like.
Are you sitting on your wallet, Sylvan? Nice. You look like you're sitting quite high. You're sitting on your wallet. Are we going to? Shall we do a little wager at this point, just for why not?
Yeah, I think we need to. I mean, it's what it's all about. And
£7.
Money, like £2.
7.
Yeah,
7?
I was thinking £5. or
no, hang on. Let's make so it stings. Let's have £100 on it, and then throughout the year we'll because that's gonna keep our attention, isn't it?
Definitely keep mine. There's no way I'm getting involved in that.
Yeah, we're going to get some back and forth on that.
Gav, I just looked and your microphone said it's switched on to mute. Right, so it's on.
But it's interesting.
Virtual handshake.
Yeah, it's on. There you go. That's it. It's happened. Right. Yeah, and it's recorded, so there's that. There's no turning back. But
it's recorded.
It is going to be tight.
Normally I change my mind. You know what I'm like. I'm terrible.
I know. Yeah, it's too late now. Gav's got to have the recording, so we can dig that out just if we need to. But it is interesting because you've got two really different characters and different type of riders. But for me, Bezzecchi, with those 4 wins already, he's showing that that he's got it, and the big points on Sunday. So I think that's an advantage. I think it's gonna be funny on the little quirky tracks. We're gonna see this weekend in Balaton. That'll be interesting to see about the Aprilia, because so far the Aprilia is definitely ahead. Like said Neil, when we do the ghosting, you can tell that bike just turns better everywhere. So yeah, Balaton is going to be about heartbreaking straights, but we know the Aprilia made massive inroads with that as well. So be good to see where the Aprilia versus Ducati sits there in Balaton. But I have no doubt Aprilia will be at least in the mix. And then them two, it's whoever's going to make. I mean, 20 points after at this stage, it's only a small mistake. So it's nothing. It's going to be tight.
Right, we'll take a little breather. When we come back, still loads to talk about, of course. Trackhouse, great weekend for them. What's the future looking like in that squad? And then Ducati, we've got to talk. It was their 100th birthday at the weekend. We're also going to get a little bit patriotic and start waving the Union Jack. I think that's only fair. Welcome back to Gas It Out, where we are reviewing the Italian Grand Prix at Mugello. Just a brilliant drink-it-in weekend that we had. There was a few people drinking a lot in over the weekend in the campsites, I'll tell you that much. There's some brilliant footage emerging from around up there. The service lads, Alex Hoffman and Christian Brugger, spent the weekend in a motor. Rather than me. I sent Neil and Sylvan a message. Hey, we haven't done this. Why do you two lads do it next time?
No, I'm
what was
fine.
the answer?
Thanks.
No.
Thank you. Be all right.
It's a definite no.
It's wild. Did you see that one of that? It was like a Yamaha R6 that was on fire.
Phaser or something.
Yeah.
It was a phaser.
I couldn't. It was absolutely just something.
Set it on fire.
Just going to set it on fire. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm mental in it. Absolutely crazy. Let's talk Trackhouse. Well, we're just still on that Aprilia thing quickly. They're doing a brilliant job. Let's face it. Raul Fernandez winning the sprint on the Saturday. Some cryptic comments from him on the Sunday. And then he gave us the full Trackhouse experience by messing up the start on, was it a false neutral, he said? Something like that on a Sunday.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, missed a gear. Which is strange with all the seamless stuff, you know. But anyway, he said that's what happened between second and third. Well, anyway.
He nearly T-boned whoever was in front of him, and then
I think it was Bez in front of him.
you just made a mistake.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a big mistake. Riding
and then
error.
His pace from lap 2 onwards, having to pass everyone, would have been he'd have had a chance of a win. There's no doubt about it. The way that he looked. Ai Ogura, meanwhile, did his usual Trackhouse thing of not qualifying well. He didn't get through Q1 like Raul did. And then that meant he fought back, and boy, did he fight back right to the very last lap. A bit of argy-bargy with Pedro, with Marquez, with Pecco Bagnaia at the last. Neil, I'll start with you. Let's start with Ai, because there's more to talk about with Raul. He's got also out his Fridays, doesn't he? Aggressive at times, and not. You talked about maybe not so aggressive at other times in that race on Sunday.
Yeah, I think again, it was a fantastic weekend for Ai. I mean, he looks so comfortable on the bike, and actually, probably the last third of the race, he's the fastest man on track, and he has been on quite a few races this year. But obviously, when you're starting so far back, it makes it very difficult for yourself. It looked like, aggression-wise, it looked bang on the money, I thought, throughout this year. And then that one mistake in Barcelona, taking out Pedro on the last corner, looks like it's affected him a little bit. He didn't quite seem himself this weekend. There were a few opportunities to make passes maybe a bit closer to his rivals, and he almost being a bit too respectful.
Well, there was a firm one on Marquez, and obviously he had a collision with Pedro Acosta as well. So even being respectful,
I guess
he's still making his presence felt.
Yeah, I'm probably thinking more that last corner one, the one with Pecco. He passed him and allowed him almost like a metre between them, which is a lot in racing. And then that meant that he couldn't get his bike turned. And then Pecco sort of squared him back off. So, but all in all, it was a really solid weekend for Trackhouse. Really pleasing to see. It's just a bit confusing what they're going to do next year. I've sort of lost my way now. I've heard that many bloody rumours. I don't know who's going where, because it sounds like Raul's out, but then he wins the sprint. He obviously won a Grand Prix last year. He started this year fantastic. I mean, it's taken him a while to get there, but now he's there. It seem strange to get rid of him, because we know Ai Ogura is moving to Yamaha. So you thought they'd keep one sort of rider locked in, and then take a punt on whoever. And there's that many names being sort of banded around. Manu Gonzalez's name's now looks like it's reappeared. Thankfully, the Moto2 Championship leader, who's on the form of his life. So. Yeah, but it's a tough one to call. Like I said, I've got slightly confused with who's going where now.
Yeah, because there were rumours that Bastianini's already signed because they wanted a more experienced. I mean, Davide Brivio talked about having a more experienced rider in there, but surely Raul gives you that now. He's experienced, he's won sprint, won a main race. I don't know. It's fascinating to see what happens on that side, because Raul showed he's a mercurial talent, isn't he? He's got bagfuls of talent. He's got pace. He's a spiky character. He's a different character to a lot of the other riders, but he also showed he's also liable to make a mistake. That's what Sunday proved again.
Yeah, I think the choice of retaining Raul or not, it's not going to be about the talent, or it's not going to be about what he can do on and again, like he showed last year with his first victory in Phillip Island. At times he just shows like so much speed, but it's times where he doesn't, or where he makes mistakes, or it's going to be about how much do you feel like you can help him becoming a more rounded rider, and how much they feel like they can help him do that next step now. He's still getting better and better, but he's still making those mistakes. He's still not consistent everywhere. It's going to be about that. But it does sound like they're definitely putting pressure on him. They're not going, don't worry, they're not trying to settle him and make him feel like he's going to stay there for another 2 years. They're putting the pressure on. The rumors, they never. Rumors don't. There's no smoke without fire. So yeah, it sounds like the discussions with Bastianini, with Gonzalez now. That is all going on in the back as well, and it's affecting him, because he actually said it in his interview after the sprint win. So yeah, they're applying a bit of pressure. Is that going to help? Is that going to make things worse? That'll be interesting to see. You get the feel like. They might take another few races before making that decision. Seems like they got a bit of time anyway. Seems like the manufacturer's
it would make sense,
agreement.
wouldn't it, Sylvain? If you don't need to rush it,
wait.
Just wait and see where we end up with. Does Gonzalez continue with his form? Does Raul actually click it? Because if Raul wins this weekend, which he could, he could, then it's
what do you do then? If he wins the next three.
Exactly.
They need a team manager first. That's got to be one of the things. Who is going to be making these decisions? I wonder a lot of it. I know Manu Gonzalez's agent has been drumming things up, speaking to people. I expect that's part of it as well. Manu, a lot of the emotions, a lot of the things he's saying in interviews, it feels manager driven. In fact, making sure that you put yourself in the market, making sure you know what your destination, that you are talking to people, you are talking to other people as well, trying to drum up that interest. And it's a good game, it's good play. And he's doing his talking on the track, which is the best kind of talking.
Yeah. But there's one of the big rumours is that Manu's going to go to World Superbikes next year. He's going to sign for Honda. He's going to take Chantra's ride. And you're just like, no. No, at the moment,
this is MotoGP quality.
It really, in the doldrums in World Superbikes, you can see obviously what Chantra and Jake Dixon are doing. I know they've got budget, but you'd be like, Manu Gonzalez is 23. And he's literally, he should be in MotoGP next year, I think. Well, we all agree, don't we? So I think he should. World Superbikes, you should get distracted by that, like Jake Dixon did when you're 30, and like Jack Miller. Now, if he doesn't continue, or Rins, if they want to continue racing, then you go towards Superbike. Now is not the time, not at all. So let's see what happens.
Let's get on to the Ducati question. It was a big centenary weekend of a special livery. Boy, will they be sat over there in Borgo Panigale, licking their wounds, won't they, over the weekend? It could have been better. I feel like Digi had more. I feel like on that side of things, Digi had more. Neil, what do you reckon Bagnaia's third place represents? Because on the one hand, he's not won a podium since Japan last year when he won the race. So there's sort of positives there. But on the other hand, there'll have been expectations that he led the first 14 laps of the race, that he can't hold on to his tyre enough to be able to battle. And Marquez, we have to that's a separate story. We'll get onto that in a second. But Digi also flattered to deceive in that the expectation will have been that bit higher.
Yeah, Ducati will be very disappointed, but they won't be. If you look at the result, Pecco finished sort of where he should have finished. Again, every time we analyse this Aprilia, it's better. It just is. So you have to beat the Aprilia. You have to have the perfect race, and Pecco's still rebuilding his confidence. He's still searching for the ultimate feeling from the 26 version of the factory Ducati. So, but in reality, at at Ducati, Ducati have to look in the mirror and say, we are not providing. They have ended up in the Honda situation. Their number one rider is not fit, and without him being the magician that he's been able to be throughout his career, like he was with Honda, so without their absolute superstar rider being able to do miraculous things, that's where they're at now. Ducati, they're the second best manufacturer, and third place is a solid result for Pecco at home. That's the reality, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And Fabio Di Giannantonio, he'll be frustrated, won't he, Sylvain? It sort of went wrong, basically. He was fastest on day one and sort of then went wrong. His bike didn't work. He had to use his second bike during qualifying. That was perhaps, he says it was exactly the same, but then it only is fine margins. We're dealing in tenths, aren't we? We're dealing in these fine amounts. Starts third row, and suddenly the game's changed for you.
Yeah, just that it's exactly that, Gavis, that little edge that he lost because he had to swap his bike, or didn't qualify exactly, starting from P7 already, because versus the Aprilias, they were a little bit on the back foot. The Aprilia then starts like a missile as well. So you got those three bikes locking up the front row, starting consistently, a little bit better than the Ducati. So you get the feel that to outperform the Aprilias, anybody on a Ducati has to do something really, really special. Just like when Pecco delivered in the race on Sunday, where he was really excellent in that race. He was aggressive. He made every move count, and I feel like he rolled the wheels off that Ducati, and that was nowhere near enough to beat the Aprilias. That's just the reality. And so Fabio Di Giannantonio, the weekend started well for the Ducatis in general on the Friday. You felt like they got there with a base, that is proven, and everything was already sort of 100% or close to it before the Friday afternoon, before the end of Friday. But then Aprilia, they did what they usually do during the weekend. They improve and get better and better and better. And from the Friday to the Saturday, they made a massive jump, and then they just become very difficult to beat. So Fabio, even though he started the weekend for me as one of the favorites, lost his way a little bit and couldn't quite make it happen. I mean, it was still a bit damage limitation for him, but he was we didn't see him much on TV, did we? So it was just a tough competition versus those Aprilias, and Neil is completely right. What they need is an outstanding rider like Marquez, fully fit to be fighting with those Aprilias now. There's no alternatives to that. They are clearly now the second manufacturer on the grid, and I don't think it's going to get better because no more testing. Everybody's concentrating now on the 850s for 2027, and I think the package is kind of fixed. The good point for Ducati though is that the bike looked really fast, like the engine in a straight. So they have really good sort of fuel management, and it was even though it didn't reflect that on the top speeds, it was the strongest bike in the straight. The Ducati of Pecco Bagnaia was difficult to overtake for both Bezzecchi and Martin, even though they had more pace. But overall, as a package, they are number two now, which they'll be, like I said, licking their wounds. Like this was a big reality check in Mugello, at home in Italy, versus another Italian manufacturer.
One thing I did think, Gav, though, they weren't going to sell many of the replica, let's say, centenary liveried bikes. Anyway, I mean, that was I understand the concept of the, let's say, the design, if you could call it a design, but it sort of failed, I thought.
Yeah, when it doesn't win as well, that's got to be a big blow on that front. Exactly. You mentioned there about battling with the Ducati on the straight. Pedro Acosta knows only too well. He and Marquez, I have to say, it saved the race, didn't it? Because it did split up a little bit at the front, but that was a great battle. It was like a generational thing. It was like just one of those between them. I loved it. I really loved it. Obviously, Digi had a heart move as well on Mark. Mark got a little bit of beating up, didn't he, in the end? Between Ogura, Acosta and Digi. I think he'll have enjoyed that, no doubt about it. But Acosta on Marquez, that was fun to watch, wasn't it, Neil?
Well, you know what it was. We're all well aware of if Mark's fit for next year, he's got Pedro Acosta as a teammate on the exact same bike, and they are cut from the same cloth. They are old school racers that love a battle, that aren't afraid. And it's funny. It's quite funny to watch when you watch, because Mark's always dished it out, hasn't he? Obviously, he's super talented, super confident, and an animal. Always has been, and will always continue to be. But when he's wounded, every rider's literally getting a jab in whenever they can, and it's funny watching him being sit up a little bit. What you have to respect, every time he's getting duffed up, he doesn't complain. He doesn't know, does he? He's not being a baby or shaking his head. Well, you sort of know deep down he's making notes of all these as well. It's like, yeah, no problem. That's 3 times. That's 3 times you've done that now. Just wait till I've got 2 arms, because she's so getting it back. So I think we've lots to look forward to. The good news is it looks like the surgery was successful. Mark had got no tingling, no nerve sensation down his arm. He just lacks strength, which of course he's going to just a couple of weeks after surgery.
In your opinion, then, how long does that take to build up? How, what we're talking here? We're talking a couple of months, because that you don't just do a few bench presses, do you? And suddenly, you're back again. You're the strong man again. So what we're talking about here?
It probably is a couple of months, isn't it, Sylvain? Would you have thought?
Yeah,
that said,
but it's difficult
Sylvain,
to say.
But that said, a track like Balaton, where it's obviously it's a very strange track. But straight line braking is physical, but it's not the be all and end all. It's not like
change the direction of those.
Yeah,
flowing.
I think Balaton will be easier than Mugello. Do you, Sylvain? Physically?
Yeah, probably, because you haven't got the sort of like long corners and the fighting with the bike for long period of time. You're sort of like when you brake straight, it's different, isn't it? The effort is different, and then when you sort of lean the bike, it's already, because it's so tight, track like Balaton, you've already shred all the speed, so you're not fighting the bike as much. But it's difficult to say, because obviously Mark's had so many injuries and surgery on that arm, in that shoulder. So how long is it going to take? But how traumatic was for the muscle tissues and so on? Where the surgery, because they removed a couple of screws and possibly a piece of bone as well. So how much damage that has done and how long it's going to take to repair. It's difficult to predict, but you could tell from what he said during the weekend in Mugello that he was, let's say, the pain or the issues that he was having became different. So instead of having that radial nerve pain, which was coming back every time, numbing the arm completely, I mean, you cannot ride like that. This went away, and it's more of a strength issue now. So this can come back pretty quickly, actually. It looked like, I mean, physically as well in Mugello, by the end of the races, he was destroyed, wasn't he? It looked like he had nothing else to give. He had to fight hard, obviously, with Acosta and DJ and all of them. But I think the last few laps, he was completely exhausted. So his physical condition is not overall as well. You know what it's like. You got an injury, you're compensating, you're going to get more exhausted than if you are fully fit. So I do think it's going to take maybe a month or two before we see him 100%, and hopefully we do, because that's not guaranteed either.
So I'm just thinking in a back-to-back race like this, your first race back, recovery time. They talk about it with footballers, don't they? You have 3 matches in a week and your body's destroyed. How much your peak athletes, your peak physical, that's not a long time, is it, for the aches and pains, that kind of thing, to recover?
No, and he's 33 now. If you're 23, you do recover quicker. But I know you're going to give me stick, because you go, you love him, and I knew you were going to say that. I fancy his chances this weekend. I really do. Stop laughing, Sylvain, or else I'm coming round. I fancy his chances this weekend.
I'm laughing because I knew you were going to say that, but I'm also laughing because I kind of agree with you. I think he could be super strong in Balaton. Because of the nature of that track. Exactly. Because it's a left-hander as well.
Exactly. And anti-clockwise.
It's a quirky, weird track.
And he's always
if you're going to go...
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to go and have a weird race on a go-kart track with some overpowered bikes, the one man you don't want to go against his Marquez. I mean, it's true, isn't it? It's
so
the reality.
true.
It's just the
It's
truth.
so true.
So with a quirky track like this, because it's so extreme and because it's such a car park of a track for MotoGP bikes, and because it's left-handers as well, who knows? And I do agree with you. So that's why I was laughing, because it is true.
Pedro Acosta doing it. It's that sort of like, scrappers track.
Yeah.
It's what he trains on. That's how he trains, doesn't he? Do you know what? I just loved the weekend as a whole. I loved seeing Mugello like that. I loved, Aprilia spoiling the party was better for the story, better for the drama, the flares, being out. I went out in the morning up to Casanova Savelli, seeing it, almost back to its heyday, back to its glory days. I don't know about you guys, but I thought that was one to stick in the scrapbook, definitely.
Yeah, it was a full, I'm going to say a 9 out of 10. It was a full 9 out of 10. I think we loved it, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it's going to be
slightly
it's a
better
big
racing,
contrast
couldn't we?
coming up, going to Balaton, which is so different. But I think because last year it shocked us, Balaton, because it was not what we'd hoped or expected, going to a new venue. We might be pleasantly surprised, because actually the racing wasn't appalling last year.
No,
even though the track was weird. So
the three races were good last year. Moto3, Moto2, MotoGP were really good.
And don't you feel like
a
quirky track almost creates a level playing field? So then a rider can make the difference. You mentioned Pedro, he was super strong there last year. Obviously, Aprilia's looks like they have an advantage, but I don't think that will be as strong at Balaton. We could have a really, really good weekend.
Right, you mentioned all three races being good. We're going to speak about Moto2 and Moto3 when we come back from the break. We're talking Mugello, we're talking Italian Grand Prix. We've had our MotoGP, Phil. Time for a little bit of Moto2 and Moto3 action now. We've already slightly mentioned it before, but just a quick word on Manu Gonzalez, Silvan. If Barcelona was emotional, if it was a scrappers win, this was him planting a flag in the ground, wasn't it? This was dominance. This was Manu Gonzalez looking every inch the finished article. He's going to take some beating this year with performances like that, isn't he?
Oh, it was just unreal. I mean, usually in Moto2, you get, a few tenth differences. They're all tied together. It's the same bike for everybody. Well, almost. You got the same engine for everybody, same tires. And those guys are all on the money. When Manu Gonzalez was leading the race, some laps he was going like 1 second faster than the whole field. I mean, it was that bad. He dominated them so bad in Mugello. He made everybody look silly. He was so quick, so consistent. Finished the race as well. Everybody was destroyed. And he just basically in his interview was like, oh, I actually enjoyed that. I felt like I could carry on. I was just it felt like training for me. What? Really?
Training?
I mean, that was
the line.
yeah, that's what he said. It was like the performance that he delivered there was, in Catalonia, he was all emotional and all over the place a bit with the win, and you could see it meant so much to him because, obviously he felt like he was being disregarded for a MotoGP ride when he shouldn't. But there, it felt like cold and controlled, and he was like a machine, absolute lap time machine, which is what you need to be. So Manu Gonzalez. If you're gonna, get away from that sort of bridesmaid or rejection that you had from last year, from being overlooked for Diogo Moreira to go into MotoGP, this is the way to do it. Showing your emotions, getting the wins, and then there outclassing everybody by a mile. So that was a really just as strong as a performance that I've seen by any Moto2 rider ever. This was, really, really impressive.
It's funny, Silvan, you said that. I thought exactly the same. After Barcelona, he showed that all his emotion. I thought that is the best thing you can do, because before that, obviously you talk about him, he's won races, but he's so straight-laced, so
almost not
so beige,
super special.
Beige is it sounds horrendous, but it's a really good way of explaining because you just look past him, don't you, Gav? And that's essentially what's happening. But then all of a sudden, watching those celebrations in Barcelona, the sheer emotion of it, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, hang on a minute. No, this guy wants it more than anything. Look at this. Look at this. And then he backed it up, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, because he just looks perfect, doesn't he? Like Thunderbirds, he looks cut out. He's got everything, about him. He's put together well. He's metronomic. He's straight. He's quite straight talking. Speaks English well. All these sorts of things. But anyway, he was fantastic. Let's move on to Moto3. Brian Uriarte, the rookie, the reigning rookies champion, the reigning junior GP champion. He went on to win. But I hope you will allow us, because I think we're fairly fair in general. We are, aren't we? I think in general, we try and big everyone up. We do respect and love all the riders, but allow myself and Neil, and Sylvan, he's British really, to be jingoistic for one godforsaken minute and fly the flag for the Brits. MLav squad and everyone involved in it have had 5 years or 4.5 years, whatever, a tough road to get to where they are, and they work so bloody hard at things. And to have Joel Kelso leading the race and having a really good ride himself, to then have Eddie O'Shea, a young lad that they brought through the system to get up, leading the race for more than one lap and actually looking like every inch, someone who could battle with the likes of Adrian Fernandez and Max Keeles up the front and taking his best ride. He got beaten up on the last lap, so did Max Keeles. It was that kind of race, that sort of race where things could happen. It was an afternoon. We had dinner, didn't we, later on that Sunday evening with David Elderington, his wife Julie, and they've invested a lot into the team with Michael as well. And weren't you just delighted for them, for Eddie, and for everyone involved in that setup on Sunday night now?
Oh, well, you said it. It's been 4.5 years the MLav racing squad's been going, and all the effort, everything that you put into it, it's not easy. This is World Championship racing, and when you start as a new team, you start at the bottom. It's the same for everyone, but they've worked their way up. They've got the credibility now. Riders want to ride for that team. Hence, Joel Kelso moved there, who's a top 5 runner for the last 2 seasons, and it's really helped Eddie O'Shea, who's only in his 2nd season. Last year was his rookie year. Yes, I know the year before he did a few replacement rides near the end of the season, but had a bag crash and hurt himself, broke his wrist straight in the first race. So it's not been a long road for Eddie O'Shea, but it's been tough. And he's never quite been able to fight in the lead group. And we were all unsure. I certainly was. I'd not really watched the junior GPs back in the day when I know he battled at the front of some of them. So I didn't know how he'd fare, how he'd cope. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of class and quality at the front of a Moto3 race. But how exciting it was to watch Eddie O'Shea not only get into the lead group, but get to the front of the race and look like he belonged there, pull some really aggressive moves. I'll underline it this way. I thought the race was that good that I never watch back a race when I come back after work, because this is what we do, Gav and Sylvan, isn't it? We're busy and you get back.
Watching 8 hours a day anyway.
Exactly. And I got back yesterday and I had a moment on the sofa where I was flicking through to try and find something to watch, and I thought, I'm going to watch the Moto3 race and enjoy it. Commentary was shit, by the way. But I thought, yeah. Don't know who's that bloke, the lead commentator. He talks too much. But yeah. Anyway, no, but and do you know what I wanted to watch, Gav? And this might sound really weird. When you're commentating, you're watching the race, but you're also looking at the times and you do miss stuff. And what I wanted to watch Eddie O'Shea's last few laps. I wanted to see exactly what happened. And do you know what? He was leading and he was in the top 3, and then he ended up finishing 6th over the line. And my only criticism is he was probably too aggressive. He toughed it out in a few other spots on the track where maybe the pass had been completed on him, and if it had just almost accepted that one pass, he'd have got back in behind the rider and been dragged forward. But he then sort of not half toughed it out. He toughed it out and then lost momentum, and then you're in the jaws of the next rider. And So essentially what I'm trying to say is I watched it back and he did nothing wrong, apart from probably be a bit too aggressive. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll let him off for that. So it was a real confidence boosting ride for him and the team. And you feel like, genuinely, and I'm not going to get too carried away, but you feel like the future's bright, don't you? You feel like they're going in the right direction. The team's going in the right direction. And we'll see Eddie O'Shea at the front of some more races.
Yeah, and it's points practically every single round, isn't it now, Sylvain? And you can probably take a bit of a wider view than we can. We are obviously banging the drum. British success has been thin on the ground. Scott Ogden's had his moments here or there, but it's been thin on the ground. Let's just face it, it has. And so to see him actually looking like he belonged, that was good. And there were lots of other things going on, weren't there, in that Moto3 race? Uriarte was brilliant. Max Quiles got Jesus Rios as well, right in the last corner. He also had a bit of a go at Eddie. Max Quiles actually, we saw him grumpy in the garage. He gave an interview later with Spanish TV. I saw it. Where he was basically saying, and I thought, I can sort of see why the other riders don't necessarily like you so much, because there was the line in it where he basically said, oh, some riders aren't used to being up the front and they were doing funny things. I thought, hell, you want to watch yourself here, because Jesus Rios might have done you there. He can just as easily do it to you, next round.
At Balaton,
At Balaton, exactly. Just watch what he's saying. But all in all, Sylvain, what I want to say is, we've got some brilliant riders, the likes of Uriarte and Carpe and Fernandez and Quiles and all these. And that actually, does that highlight what Eddie and Joel and those people who aren't necessarily the fancied runners have done to battle with them at Mugello? Or was it just a Mugello thing?
No, I think that definitely, this is not come from nowhere. Like the team, the MLav grid racing team, they've made inroads like last year and then this year as well. It is sort of like it's coming step by step. It's just taking time to put it all together. And it was what I'd say is that for the team, but not only for Eddie O'Shea but also for the team, this was a really important breakthrough, because what it does is it gives you the confidence and the confidence to start every weekend thinking we've got a chance here. We can do it. We can do this again. We've got the potential to do it. You as a rider, you as riders, you're good enough to go and fight in the front. And us as technicians, mechanics, we can give you the tools to make that happen. And until you do that kind of ride or that kind of performance, you sort of like always doubting yourself a little bit, and it's hard to have that confidence. You can feel intimidated by all these fast guys with good teams, established teams with big sponsors, and whatever when you're a private team. So this was really, really, really important for all of that group of people that have been working their socks off and making it happen. I do think that Mugello helped a little bit, because obviously you got the slipstream there. Eddie's super fast in a straight, so this strength played well in Mugello, but he used it really well. And as Neil said, he was super aggressive. I mean, he wasn't having it, and it was his first time there. So I do think as well that the other riders that are more used to being at the front, they were seeing him there thinking, you shouldn't be there. So they were having goes at him when he was a little bit borderline sometimes, because it's almost like they didn't respect him enough. So they're going to give him more respect now if he starts being there more often. So yeah, all in all, this was an outstanding performance by both riders, and by Eddie in particular, and by all the team as well. So it was great to see. I mean, we were watching it. MLav was next to us in the studio when you two were commentating, and honestly, it was so exciting. We were so happy. So it was beautiful to see, and good to see Eddie O'Shea's emotions at the end as well, where he explained. He said, last year I was struggling so much. It's almost like you go through times where you come back in the box and you've not done well, and you've not really done great, and nothing feels right, and it feels like it's the end, but you remotivate yourself, for the next one. It's tough. Like mentally, it's really, really tough when you're young and you go into this kind of competition. It's really hard to make it happen. Most people don't ever. Most people don't lead a race. It's the reality of it. And so when that happens, you have to take it all in, but also not see it as an end. This is a step. And hopefully there's loads more to come. In any case, it was brilliant to see. So yeah, and as 50% English, I was really happy to see that happen as well. And for MLav, I mean, how much energy does Michael put into that? That team for all those years. He's been working so hard, and we know it. We can witness it every weekend. He spends his time just working.
Every second of every day, MLav is working. as we know. He's doing emails constantly. He's on the phone constantly. Literally, he's non-stop.
Yeah, so credit to him, he's our mate. And well, if you just allow us that indulgence for 5 minutes there. Hey, chapeau as well to Cal for coming down, because when he came down and congratulated one of Eddie's heroes to come down there, take time out of his schedule. You know, he was coming back in to race on that day. So credit to Cal for coming straight down to see the young Brit. And about Cal, he hurt his shoulder, didn't he? It's good to see him at the weekend. Good to have a chat with him, and forced to retire, but he will be back for Balaton Park. Michele Pirro won't be. He's going to be replaced, or Alex Marquez is going to be replaced anyway, by Iker Lecuona, which is interesting, because we are just going to have a quick word on WorldSBK. We didn't obviously get to watch it fully fledged, but Nicola Bulica doing the job again. Iker Lecuona in there again. So maybe we can do a double hit on this, Neil, as in Bulica marches on, continues to dominate.
Unreal.
Hat trick for him. Unreal. Lecuona, great again. Sam Lowe's had another fantastic weekend. Aragón is a circuit that we know that he loves. But there's not too much we can say about it, is there, in Aragón, with the World Superbikes being dominated by Ducati, being dominated by Bulica. They were, a bit more close again. But Lecuona coming over then for Balaton Park just, gives a little bit of interest, doesn't it? In terms of MotoGP, in terms of the talk about Bulica coming over to this paddock.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting watch, because we know obviously Lecuona's got MotoGP experience anyway. Did he do just one? Was it one season?
2 seasons.
Was it 2? I can't remember if it was 1 or 2. But as we know, he's a hard charger, super aggressive. He's been outclassed this year by his teammate, but that's no disrespect to Lecuona. I think it's just credit to Bulica. Is when you watch him ride that bike, the superbike, he's absolutely incredible. It's like the bike was built around him, which it was. He gets the most out of the package. And when you speak to someone like Chaz Davis, who's worked with him and been at the side of the track, and when you speak to Chaz, you trust what he says. And it's like he literally is so technical, really smooth on the throttle. And like I said, gets the most out of the package. Lecuona coming doing the replacement ride is going to be interesting, because it was at Balaton Park, what was it, a month ago with World Superbike, so be fresh on his mind. It's like we've just said before, it's Balaton Park, it's a level playing field. It's a track where the rider can make the difference. He'll turn up and Lecuona will genuinely think, this is my chance. I'm on a good bike and I'm going to send it, because he's good at sending it, is Lecuona. So I expect him, like normally when we have replacement rides, you go, well, he's going to be last, isn't he? Because who's he going to beat? There's no slow riders. I'm going to say that Lecuona's not going to be last, and I'm not talking about Cal Crutchlow, and I don't mean that disrespectful for Cal. Cal's 40 years old, not been racing for quite a few years now. I think he'll beat some of the names. So there you go. That's my prediction.
It's a scratchers track, isn't it, that we're going to in Balaton Park this weekend? It's the complete antithesis of Mugello. It's completely opposite. No fans last year. I hope that's the one thing. That's my one hope for Balaton this year, Sylvain. It's a small track. We have to get beyond that. We actually got decent racing last year. There's bits of it that are dangerous. We need to keep banging that drum as well. There's bits of it that do not feel safe. That's an important point to make on that. Let's just hope that this year we get a load of fans in, because it felt empty as well. It didn't feel the easiest to get in despite that. But let's hope, Sylvain, that we do actually get some fans through the gates, and
some atmosphere.
It might be the last time we go to Balaton.
Yeah, last year as well, it was. I think the timing was not great, because it was after Brno, after Sachsenring, so all the Grand Prix in the area were already happened, and so yeah, and well, to be fair, we got Balaton, and in 2 weeks' time we've got Brno, which is not far, but yeah, it is. I mean, it's not a favorite track, is it? And I don't think many riders love it. There is the safety issues, with that bike of Pedro Acosta going, and hit that camera. The Bastianini crash, where he crashed in a race and then came back onto the track on the other side of the chicane, because the chicanes are silly tight. But it is particular as well. So, it's a different exercise for everybody, for the engineers to set up the bike, for the riders. You have to ride very, very differently to what you do in Mugello. And it'd be interesting to see. I think we're going to see, Pedro Acosta, Marquez more competitive. Locona is going to be interesting. I think the fact that Locona is there is interesting. To me, it says that Bulega, the experience that he had last year in Portimao, when he replaced Marc Marquez, was like he didn't want to do that again. So that means he's concentrating 100% on his World Superbike campaign, and also it probably means that it doesn't feel like he needs to prove anything to come to MotoGP next year. So I reckon he's going to be on MotoGP grid next year, Bulega, and I'm actually looking forward to that because he is so good on the Pirellis. That's going to be a massive advantage, for him to come from so many years of experience with the Pirellis at the top of his game, transferring into MotoGP. So I really hope that happens with the VR46.
Yeah, that's the rumour, isn't it, over the weekend, that he's been the one that's picked. They just got to thrash out a deal now. So we'll see what happens. Anything else to add on the Italian weekend or Hungary that we've got coming up, chaps? You don't have any spare passports, do you? Anything like that? You could help me. Not that it matters. My spare passport was sent on Thursday last week, and it's still not left the East Midlands. So I might not even be in Hungary. I may be doing it all from here in Italy. So anyway, fingers crossed I do get home at some point, if nothing else, than to relieve Kate, my other half, from all the duties at home while she's also trying to do a full-time job. God, I am so unpopular at the moment. I need friends. I need friends because I've got none at home.
Not only do all your work colleagues hate you, everyone hates you at home. That's good, Gav. That's sound. Love you, really.
Sounds good.
Anyway, it's Republic Day here in Italy. On Tuesday, we're recording this. Silvan, we got to wish you all the best. You're heading off to Spa this weekend, aren't we? Are you feeling up for that one?
Yeah, good. Yeah, no, I'm not heading off to the Spa. I'm going to Spa for the 8 hours. It's not it's not going to be as relaxing as going to the Spa. Yeah, Spa weekend for me. It's actually an 8-hour race in Spa-Francorchamps. One of my favorite tracks. I love it there. So you're looking forward to it. After the strong effort in Le Mans 24 hours with our new BMW Auto Race Ube team. I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, it'll be an 8-hour race, and the race is on Saturday. So I'll be able to do that race and then still watch you guys on Sunday, which is good. Yeah, in front of TV with a flip top.
Yeah, well, we'll be able to watch you on HBO Max as well and on TNT Sports over the weekend. Let us know in the comments at Gas It Out Pod. As always, I've lost the button that I was supposed to be putting up on the screen, but you know it anyway. At Gas It Out Pod on Instagram, and of course that's our handle on YouTube. We were on TalkSport at the weekend. Let us know if you were listening to that when you were out and about. Let us know how it sounded, because we won't get any feedback on that. But from myself, Neil, and Silvan, we hope you enjoyed the racing in Hungary. We hope you enjoyed Italy. Make sure you watch Silvan this weekend in Spa. But for now, if in doubt, make sure that you gas it out.